Hello, everyone. It's the Jarek Brian Show, and we are back again with the Rug Files. But we're missing Ahmed. So, Ahmed, if you're out there, we can't wait to have you on the next show. But we have Crypto Manimal and Cynthia Steencamp. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. And Cynthia, how are you?
I'm good. Tired, but that's
Yeah.
default by now. Being an adult.
What time is it over there right now for you?
Oh, it's not late. I'm just, what is it? It's 10 to 7. So it's not late. It's just, I'm just tired. It's just been a long year.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. This year has gone on for like 10 years, it feels like. But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming back, man. This is actually everybody really loved actually the first kind of episode. Everybody got actually a lot of value out of it, which was not saying crazy though, but it was like, man, I'm glad we were able to actually get some sort of value out of it too, and other people as well. Kind of want to get into though what we didn't kind of get into in the first episode is like doxing, right? And I'll kind of hit this over to you, Cynthia, as well. Is doxing something that kind of really matters to you as of like now? Because I know people would like to see like especially like with the pulse with like Randolph, like you have to actually show your face, be doxed, and everything like that, and everybody's kind of wanting for people to kind of be doxed, right? But is that something that kind of matters to you? Because also too, we've also had dox founders just rug us too as well. So what's kind of your take on that?
Recently, I've started appreciating it more, but
Mhm.
it also depends on what it is. I feel like if you're investing in actual companies, and now I'm not talking about just PFP things, then obviously I want them to be doxed as people that are VC funded and they have like supposedly a lot of money behind them, because I want to see who's funding them. I want to see who's supporting them. But if it's a general PFP project where things are like under 50 Matic each, I don't care. I genuinely don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just in it for fun.
Yeah. No. Hey. That's actually fine too as well. Just let you would kind of I would say with somebody kind of like not docs, just kind of like be responsible. Don't just go um blowing all your money into reality cats like some people kind of be doing. But Crypto Manimal, is that kind of what is your kind of take on it? Does it matter to you because you and Manimal are docs, right? And Cynthia, you're docs too as well. Does it matter to you as an investor?
So like two different hats for me. So when we're talking troglodyte society, and like for us, like we want to create long-lasting, long-term partnerships, right? Like not just collab, whitelist giveaways, things of that nature. We want to actually cultivate, a strong partnership and culture with multiple, projects out here in the space. And so when it comes to that, like we really do we will not partner with somebody that's not doxed if your whole team's not doxed, because we've heard, oh, the dev's taken all the money and ran, or we've heard, oh, I was the founder, I'm doxed, but my team's not, just me. But then that founder will come out and say, oh, the dev screwed me over, he took everything and he ran with it, that type of thing. I've seen that a lot. And so like for us on like a protecting side of our community and protecting like the culture we bring, especially with us being an NGO and having that charitable aspect to our project, we won't partner with projects that aren't docs. We've had people be mad at us about this, that, oh well, blah 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 blah, this, that, and the other, right? But that's just our ethos. That's just how we're going to run the project. Now for Crypto Manimal himself as an investor, I do love decentralization. I think anonymity is fine, to some degree. Like Cynthia was saying, like, if it's not taking a bunch of money for me to invest into something, like if I'm not putting thousands of dollars into something, right? Like then, if I'm just out here to have fun, and buy some reality cats, because our boy Van hooked it up on the generational wealth, so I'll throw it in. I spent like what $20 on 20 reality cats. You know what I mean? This happened to me like too. Like Cool Goats came out. There was this, like, they looked really cool. Like the art was like super clean, super unique, and like it jumped up. It was raging in price, and then all of a sudden, Discords, Twitter's gone. All that. It was like, we just all got rugged. But it didn't cost me that much money. It was one of those degen gamble plays, and that's what Manimal will go out here and he'll degen. This all too well, Jared. I
Yeah.
like to go degen sometimes.
Oh yeah, of course. I love the DGen, and now that I put all my life savings into reality cats, and that 70 cent pullback I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to do the show. They might actually repo like my sign up here I just got and everything like that. So we shall see. Thanks, man. But yeah, it's just and it kind of ties into kind of like this next topic, right? Like kind of right with some projects that you've recently, because like you guys have been in crypto a while, and I've been in crypto like fairly kind of a long time, right? And even this year, right? We've known better, right? It could even be last year too, though. We've known better on some projects, but we still let our heart take over, right? And still, like fall into some of these traps and let some of these kind of projects kind of like seduce us, right? And like Crypto Manimal, like how do you prevent kind of being like seduced and just like, and kind of ignoring some of like these red flags and not saying, hey, it's a carnival ride. Like, no, these are red flags. Like, hey, you've gone out and said, hey, these are some major red flags, and now they're popping up, but you choose to ignore them because off of whatever it is, your feelings, your hopes and dreams, or whatever the case may be. Like, how do you stop that? How do you just say, hey, like the signs are there, man, just like look deep into them, no matter how bad or how good the co-founder talks or anything like that. Like, how do you stop that kind of behavior?
Yeah, I think I think this like plays into like the psychology of the human itself, like our own psychologies, right? So, if like say like we get into something that's super hype, you buy in early, you ride the wave, everything's the hype train's rolling, and you are making some profits here and there, maybe, or maybe you're just holding for the big profit, and you start to just believe, and you start to ignore because you're just in it with your emotions. You're not using your head. You might see the red flags and you just choose to ignore them, maybe even subconsciously. Maybe you're just not even conscious, but you are, because when you look back after it's happened, you're like, oh, I knew this. I saw this coming a mile away. There were red flags everywhere, but I still chose to ignore those red flags because maybe I was drinking the Kool-Aid. Maybe the community was so hype and I was, just in awe of the founder, and I was just slurping up all the Kool-Aid with the rest of the community, and riding those emotions as opposed to actually using my head and using the logic and using the things that I've learned out here in the space to look out for, right? Like, I'm even talking about the cool goats thing. It's like he came out and started saying, like, I don't even know if it was a he, to be honest with you, nobody knows, right? But the project itself was saying, anybody that has a taco tribe, or anybody that has a troglodyte society, or anybody that has this project, those were like OG projects in the space. You're whitelisted for cool goats, like, jump on it, you're whitelisted. And then like you'd have project founders be like, hey, I'm not really sure about this, but like, it seems cool. I like the art, so like, why not? Like, yeah, we're you guys are whitelisted, go get it, kind of deal. And so it kind of you can, like, I was like, I knew deep down, I was like, yeah, this is a gamble, this is a DGen play, but I still did it anyway, and I posted about it, like, hey, I've got a cool guy, like, and that for me, I think is kind of like the thing is like, you got to make sure you're not following anyone out here and just blindly following people for what they do, because like for me, like I had to go on Twitter, or it was Twitter still at the time, but I had to go on X and be like, hey guys, really sorry if you bought a cool goat because of me, because they rugged, but hey, if you want, you can come into the Troglodyte Society Discord. We're giving away trogs to everyone who got rugged, so I did that. Like, I found like these people, they started after the Discord closed down, they started a new Discord for, and like 13 14 people went into that Discord, and I was like, hey, you guys all come to the Troglodyte Society Discord, come learn about us. I'm going to give you guys all a trog. It's like, I'm just going to give you guys a trog for coming in, and you got rugged, I feel bad for you. Van did the same thing with Kimojis when that happened with cool goats. He did the same thing. He said, hey, come into the Kimojis Discord, I'm giving you guys Kimojis, you know what I mean, certain up to a certain amount, right? And so the community kind of bands together when these things happen, but at the same time, it's like, I knew better than to go blindly and following a project that just because it's pumping, and things like that. So it's a double-edged sword out here, for me personally, because I do like to GGen, I do like to gamble, and I think that a lot of it is that psychology that you battle, like, within yourself. Like, things are happening that are on the up and up, but at the same time, you want to have that hopium that, you want to take that shot of hopium that, man, this is going to explode, and I'm going to make, some fat bags off of it.
Yeah, and it's just kind of a very interesting kind of thing that we kind of do, even like when we're kind of seasoned and everything like that. And Cynthia, you're kind of more on the kind of I guess kind of like mindset that, let us touch the hot stove, right? So you kind of like see some of these people, and I know you've like, from afar you see like, some of these signs, right? And you're like, hey, hey, this doesn't look right, this doesn't look right, but people still get kind of like caught up in, right, and they kind of ignore these kind of like red flags, right? But do you yourself have gotten like that? And if so, right, how do you stop? Like, how do you just tell yourself, like, hey, the signs are there, this person's not good for me? Just how do you just stop that behavior as well?
Well, I feel like I'm very fortunate to have a lot of people around me who question everything, and
Mhm.
that kind of has rubbed off on me. Like I've been to AMAs where everything sounds great. The roadmap is perfect. It's not too elaborate. It's not like impossible, but it's like really cool. And then you jump into the Discord with your friends and you say like, "Oh, I want to get into that," and they're like, "Did you hear what they said on this point?" Which is something that you completely zoned out on.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's just those small details that can just catch out a person on what they're saying. Maybe they don't know what they're going to do with the money. If they mint out, maybe they don't have an actual roadmap. And like they have a physical, like a beautiful roadmap, but they don't actually have something that sounds proper. When you start asking them the questions surrounding their points in the roadmap. So I just think ask questions. And as we said last time, if people block you from the Discord for
Yeah.
asking questions, that is a red flag. And it happens so much. And so many people just completely ignore that. I'm like, why do you ignore that? That is the biggest red flag for me. When you have some person jumping into Discord and they just ask nothing crazy and they get blocked. I'm like, ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah. If you see someone getting like I've like so many times you see somebody come in, ask a hard question or say something, and the mods and everybody like they ban them, and then they say we don't accept FUD here, we don't accept FUD here, and that's like the like all-encompassing answer for them. It's like, oh, that person was
Yeah.
FUD. We don't have time for FUD here. We only want positivity. We don't have time for FUD, and that's an issue. Like the narrative
Yeah.
needs to change. It's not just FUD. It's a legitimate question being
And
asked
those
that
like those are the
the
dangerous
community should
echo
know.
chambers.
Right.
Well, yeah. So yeah, like even as to recent, right? And I'll bring up, kind of like Brozo, right? And Brozo was like had a kind of like very like hyped kind of like beginning, right? And like but as you kind of peel back, right, and as the kind of months went on, signs were there, right? The signs were kind of like, at first, like you kind of with the Teddy not being kind of active, right? He was kind of slowly but surely peeling himself away, right? You couldn't really get him in Discord, and I don't know how he got to be a Magic Eden advisor, but whatever, right? Um, but with that, right, it was just like I said, like constant delays, right? And also too, like just basically just him basically saying like, hey, like staking is going to come like this and this summer, and then it gets moved back, and then that gets moved back. Well, then we're not going to do any kind of collection line from like summer, and then he said, okay, no, we're going to cancel it for the year. So said the signs are kind of there because like what did you do with all these kind of like funds and everything like that? So you kind of like let your feelings and your kind of emotions get to you because like how could this miss, right? Because you see it being backed by like of course Magic Eden and everybody, it was like it was a great euphoric time, and there's like it was kind of like the way I kind of thought about it when kind of investing in it, like there's no way this can fail. And I don't know how like basically to kind of get that point in your like kind of your head that anything can fail. I mean, really anything. I mean, to be honest, no matter how hyped they are. So Cynthia, like it was just like, how do you just get into that mindset that hey, even though that they're maybe backed by God knows whoever, right? And even because we're gonna see them in like in this next kind of run here as well, like they could still like fail, like they could still have all these like great things, but when these red flags start popping up, though, it's just like you got to kind of like talk to yourself and tell you, hey, these projects can still kind of fail no matter if they're backed by whoever, right? And how do you kind of like basically like get yourself to realize like, hey, this doesn't seem right, like this is kind of like weird, you know what I mean?
Ah, geez. I mean, we do want to believe so hard, don't
Yeah,
we?
yeah.
We want to believe so hard that it's gonna moon. But that's also again, have friends who are outside the project. I feel like it's so dangerous when you start building these communities within the project. I mean, they're beautiful. Don't get me wrong. They're great to a certain extent. When people stop asking questions, when things have been stagnant for too long, like the great example is Brozos. It was stagnant for the longest time. And the team that took over now, in a month?
Yep.
They've already got the staking up and running. So, like, it just shows the difference in leadership. Sometimes people are just not prepared to lead a project. And that is where, if you are not into doing your research and keeping tabs on things that you have in your wallet, then I just suggest you don't buy into projects. Buy into freaking art instead, because that's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, no, it's just, like I said, it was just very weird because, like,
yeah,
it was just the big kind of like funding. Like, there's just no way this can kind of like fail. And like Manimal, you too, like how like even though something could be backed by like whoever, right? How do you just kind of peel back all those layers and see like just basically like, hey man, this can fail. Like how do you kind of get that message across to kind of everybody? Like no matter what, people, you don't know people's true intentions, so they could honestly just leave tomorrow. And like, how do you kind of like get yourself into that mindset and overcome like those kind of emotions?
Yeah, I mean it's difficult, especially if you truly did believe in something and you put a lot into it, right? It's like, say, like it's really difficult out here to like pick and choose what you want to whale into, right? Like what project do you want to invest the most in, right? I'm all over this Polygon blockchain. Like I have so many projects that I've bought, and not just recently, but like throughout the last 2 years of me being involved, almost 3 years being involved in Polygon NFTs since their inception, really, since they came out and I started playing around in it. And you can look at like with Brozos, like literally the fastest mint out. Like it went like that. It was hype. Everybody was all about it. Like, oh, luxury clothing line. Like but for me, I didn't even like I did a little bit of the research of like, okay, well, I've listened to them in Spaces. I listened to Donnie. Like they sound like stand up people. They sound like they got a really good plan, a really good roadmap. It looks great. And then after I get into it, it's like then I started seeing what you were talking about. Like, oh well, staking. They weren't even going to have staking.
Yeah.
I remember them coming out saying we didn't have plans to do staking, but we're listening to the community. We know you guys want it, so we're going to do it. And then it was like delay after delay after delay. And it was like, well, when is this clothing brand going out? Where is this going to be in stores? Is this going to be? How does this correlate back to the NFT? And you start seeing like, well, how does this really work? And then but then you still want to hold out that hope because you believed in it so much, and a lot of your friends believed in it. A lot of the people out here that you hang around with, you see it on your timeline everywhere from the Brozo this, Brozo that, right? And so it is a difficult thing, and I think that it comes down to like you personally as the investor or collector or whatever you want to call yourself out here to actually spend time to peel back those layers, to actually look deep into it. And that sucks if you're doing this like after the fact, right? Because you're already in it, you already have skin in the game, and to make the decision to pull yourself out of something is a lot harder than the decision was to jump into it. And so I think it really does come down to the individual. I think Cynthia's got a great mindset of like having friends out here in the space who actually look deeper into things, and then they kind of say stuff. So like don't ignore the people that are out here putting out the information. Dig into it yourself. Don't just call it FUD. Don't just say, oh, they're jealous because they didn't get in. That's why they're flooding the project because they missed out on it, and that's why they're doing all these things. No, maybe they're actually trying to protect you. Maybe they're actually trying to help you look at it from a different angle and a different lens than the one that you have that might be a little rose colored, right? Because we always want what we choose to invest in to be the right call. We always want it to be the call that's going to make our bags moon, right? We want we want that. And so and once you're into something, if you didn't do the research prior to jumping into it, and sometimes you're not going to see these signs until after you are in the community, right? And so you have to really pay attention, and that can be hard to do, but you've got to literally look at the signs that are being thrown up right in front of your face, and make wise decisions, not based on your emotions, but based on your logic and what you know to be true. And like I said, that it's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to step off from the hope and actually look at it in a logical perspective, but that's literally what you have to do, or you're going to get burned more and more out here.
Well, Manimal, and I'll ask you both this question too as well. Like, out of all the projects you guys have been into and invested in, which one, and if you can name just one, you can, which one has broke your heart the most? And Manimal, I'll start off with you.
Man, broke my heart the most.
Which one hurt the most? Which one stung? Which one, like, oh?
Man, that's tough. I would say, golly, man, that's tough for me to think about. Let me think about this for Cynthia. Do you have one off the top of your head, or do you need time?
I was talking about that hurt that rugged when it rugged. And I'm talking about stung.
I know. Now we've been like dancing around it. Now for me, it has definitely been Beluga Bay, but I will say my rugs are damn cute. My wallet doesn't upset me. I just see all sorts of cute little PFPs. I'm like, all right, you were kind of worth it.
Mm-hmm. But what was it about it that was so heartbreaking?
It's just the fact that and I understand, again, it's a lot of points that we talked about in the last episode. The fact that the owner wasn't his own, or the founder rather. It was just him. He was the front figure. And I think he just got too deep into being this project rather than being his own person. And that can add a lot of pressure onto people. And I don't think people understand until they are the project front head, just how difficult it is. Because you gotta keep in mind, people buy stuff for, say, $5 and they expect the world. They expect the founder to be there for them 24/7. They expect them to reply to every comment. They expect all the love in the world. Like, people are relentless for $5. Like, go and buy a coffee instead if you want that much of a commitment.
Yeah. So, and in kind of like having that kind of heartbreak with, like, you know, like Beluga, so you said Beluga Bay, right, and everything like that. Like, what about them that caused you, like, to be so much emotionally invested in them, and like, how did they get to you? Like, what was the appeal? Like, what got you to actually, you know, connect with this project?
The appeal for me personally is just that I saw this as something that could have been so big, because the art was great. It was really appealing. It was very simple, but I feel like it could have been mass produced. It could have been better than Pudgy Penguins if it would have just been handled by a team rather than just an individual, because there was a proper roadmap. He had integration in games before it was trendy. He had Metaverse Land. Like, he had all the things that people talk about now and brag, and this was 2 years ago. So he was really leading the way, but, you know, I think it was more burnout than him wanting to lead the project. Because again, and that's the heartbreak for me, is that this person gradually, you could see how they had to start stepping away because they were just tired and work was just getting in the way. Because obviously NFTs is not necessarily another income. It's a side thing for a lot of people in the space. And yeah, people just forget that.
Yeah, so as you kind of like look back on it, right, were there some signs that you ignored at the beginning that were actually, as you go back and kind of research everything, right, and kind of look over again, was there any point in time when you went back and went over it that you're like, dang it, why didn't I see that? Or I just chose not to see it?
I mean, there were. One of them is one of my biggest one is, again, a single person handling a project with a huge roadmap. It was all like doable stuff, but by a team. That's the thing. Like, he wouldn't have had time to deal with all of the things that were on that roadmap, because it was building worlds, it was building in the metaverse, it was building a game, it was this and that. Like, it was too much. But at the same time, it could have been done if he just onboarded. So that's kind of where I'm a little bit sad that he didn't go down that route and just became the front figure, but had people working alongside, like Trogs is doing.
Mm-hmm. Like, because they have like a whole kind of like network and everything like that. But besides, right, adding more people to the project and everything like that, if you can go like hop in, get with the Avengers and hop in the, go to the quantum realm, right? What other things do you think this person could have done to actually, like make it like succeed, and maybe he would still be here he or she would be here to this day? Besides adding more people, what else do you think?
Besides adding more people, that is hard, because I genuinely think that project had everything it needed, in the sense of the art was great. It was just, if it had more people, I do think that it would have been a great success.
Yeah, I think so too.
Crazy. That hurts.
It does. It really does.
It's a simple fix.
Yeah.
Right. It would have been a simple fix for sure. And I think too, like, so we talk about he was running this daily space. It was literally the only Polygon space. We would go into other spaces and get, kicked off stages. Polygon sucks. Like, get out of here. Like, just get roasted in Ethereum spaces daily. And so it was nice to have a safe place to go to with him and Dave Swingbank, and we were able to, go in there and talk about our projects and basically build up a community of like-minded people and founders and people that wanted to build on Polygon. And I still met some of my closest friends there. Obviously, Cynthia, Ahmed. Ryan from Taco Tribe, like all these people, and that have actually stuck it out. Vans from Kimojis, like all the people that actually are still here, we all met basically there. Big Nil, Datorians, like that's where we met Big Nil. So for me, it was like that's like kind of the most heartbreaking part about the Beluga Bay thing, is that he brought so many of us together, and then kind of like almost like the Godfather, right? And then he was gone, and then he just disappeared, and he was gone. And we would run spaces to the Trogs, and so I think a red flag that kind of popped up that we should have noticed was when he requested for us to kind of take over his space and take over the kind of that time. Dave had to step away because of his mother passing, and so there was they didn't want that to end, but Beluga didn't want to run it, so we kind of took that over and kind of took that mantle. And I think that was kind of the first instance where we should have realized, like, he's burnt out, he's losing it, he doesn't want to do the spaces anymore. So it's like, what's he going to do with the project? That kind of thing. So I think that was kind of one of those things too. For me, on the emotional side of things, that was probably that one and one other one. So the whole reason I started going into that space was a project called Freakbee. And it was a solo artist, dad. You remember that, Cynthia? I saw your face light up.
I totally forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah, so he was a father. He had his daughter would carry on a Furby character everywhere that she went, and so he created Freakbees, which were like melting beaks and worms coming out of the skin and things like that.
That sounds
so,
cool.
Yeah, the art was sick, right? So I get in there, and I it was a one-matic mint that he was doing. I jumped in the Discord, I started helping him with the Discord, organizing the Discord out, like modding for him and doing all these things. And that was the whole reason I ended up going into that space, and how I met Ahmed was all because of the Freakbee project. And it was the same thing. It got too much for him. He looked at it during the pandemic. That's when he kind of fell into it. He was a photographer by trade. He would do like photography for like hotels and restaurants and like that really pretty photography you see on people's Instagrams, and things like that. But he was also a single father, and he didn't have anybody else. Like, I was helping in the Discord, but that was it. Right. And so, for him to he had also released another kind of V2 of it that was like a doodle Freakbee. They look like the classic doodles, like really colorful, and that's like my jam. Like, I love that that color palette and that type of color schemes and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, we're really going strong. And then it was just like, boom, he's gone. Nobody's seen him. Just disappeared, right? And who knows? I couldn't even get a hold of him. I had his number and everything, right? We would, on WhatsApp and stuff. And so I couldn't even get a hold of him. And, hopefully nothing serious happened. But that's kind of one of those things, though, too, is if you're solo, you're not doxxed and nobody knows how to find you or get a hold of you. you could die. like,
Yeah.
let's be real here. Like, you could literally pass away. Like, this happens all the time out here, right? We're never promised the next day. And so,
Sure.
it kind of, that's kind of one of those things that too is like, well, man, what happened? Is he okay? Like, on that part of it, like the, connection on the emotional side of things. And then I would say, like, for me, like the worst financial mistake I ever made was hype hippos on Ethereum. I jumped. Yeah. You don't know what
Hype
that is.
hippos.
Yeah, they were hype hippos, baby. And we
Doesn't
jumped
sound like
in.
a rug at all.
Right? Sounds. Yeah, it was awful. It was horrible. That one was the most financial hurt because me and a few of the boys IRL. So I worked at this hotel with a couple guys, and I started talking, to like one of them was really big in the stock market, and he had made a lot of money off Tesla and stuff like that. And I started talking about Ethereum, Bitcoin, and all these things, and the NFTs started coming out, and like we all got together, and like we were buying ETH NFTs together as a group, like we were to pull our money together and be like, let's jump in. And we were like, oh dude, Hype Hippos is gonna be the next big thing, bro. We gotta get in now. We minted them, and we were like, and then it was like literally like after mint, basically, like it was just like gone. It was like maybe 2 days of people in the Discord like still being hype, and then it was like, boom, this is a rug. Everyone's getting banned out of the Discord, like we said. Like, people are asking questions, getting kicked, and we're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then we couldn't sell to save our lives. Those are still in my wallet at the very bottom because it was like the beginning of my NFT journey. But like that one didn't emotionally scar me at all, just financially scarred me. But yeah, the Beluga Bay and definitely Freak Bee, just because Freak Bee I was so close with. I was actually working, with the founder. So those two were like the biggest emotional ones for me, and they were early on. Obviously, like, Beluga, like we are just now recently saying, like this is an actual rug, like, you know what I mean? Like we've come to an agreement that like, yeah, this is a rug. Yeah,
he's not coming back home.
Yeah, but like Cynthia said, I always talk about this. Like when you're looking at, like when you're investing in coins and you're getting into like tokens and that type of thing, all you see is the portfolio, the number go up or down, right? A green and red candle. That's all you see. With NFTs, when you open your wallet, you might have some fire art still, and you can always smile at the fact that, like, I bought this because I liked it to begin with. It didn't make me money, but I do like this art, and it doesn't make me as sad as looking at just a, zero red candle, like when Luna crashed, or when I was actually in Iron Finance, which was Mark Cuban was in that. He actually created a liquidity pool, and it was on Polygon, and it was like they had an algorithmic stablecoin just like Luna, and it depegged, and they figured out a way to exploit, and I just watched I was like, I think I had like 10 grand at the time, and I just watched it all day long just go to zero. And I just sat there, stared at the chart like, oh no. So at least with NFTs, I can go back and just, scroll through some key pictures and still use them as wallpapers and throw them up on my digital screens at home, right? The art's so cool.
Dude, I'm thinking of making
finance red candle to zero and be happy about it.
I'm thinking of buying a digital screen just to have all my rugs displayed on it. They're rugging.
Like a blanket, like a quilt.
No, I was gonna say, Cynthia, you should get like one that like can go on the floor, like with like plexiglass, and like, make it your rug. Make it an actual, like, and make it a rug that you can cover you at night.
I just wanted to have my little screen in the corner there, for shame, so that I do my own research next time.
So, as you guys, talk about like Beluga Bay, right? And you kind of in a weird kind of way, right? Kind of feel bad for the guy, right? He kind of came over his head, right? And he had all these things. He was kind of by himself. He was just a one-man army. And I'll throw this one to you, Cynthia. Cynthia, if he came back next bull market, he said, "Hey, I'm back. Would you invest in the next project that he, were to start up with? And would you just jump right in, or would you be a little bit more cautious? Like, hey, I've got a team. I got this. Would you jump right back in?"
Look, if he puts me on the team, I'd support him.
So basically,
honestly,
like, put me on your team, and we'll make.
Put me on your team, and we will. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I like to hear that. Manimal, would you jump right in?
So here's the thing: he would have to make the past collection holders whole, and by that I mean not necessarily not financially whole, but I think he'd have to have a lot of incentive to with the new project, whether that be multiple airdrops or some type of
No,
console
don't freaking
or
do more airdrops. Stop it with the airdrops. Our wallets are full of crap as it is.
No, I was saying, like, so say the new project's coming out, Cynthia, and you're on the team, right? Say you're on the team, new project's coming out.
Yeah.
Would you suggest to him, say, hey, like, all your OG holders that, they have, 5, 10, 15 of these whales, let's make the supply enough to where we can give out this new NFT, give out a portion of that to them to bring them back and say, hey, like, look, like we want to take care of those of you. I know that this project failed, not rugged, right? But this project failed, and I want to come back, and I want to be even stronger. I have a strong team, and I want to give back to those of you that did support me in the OG project, because like that for me, like I would have to have something given to me, honestly, like not just put me on the team, but I would want I would want him to give to those people that basically got burned, right? And that's kind of like what I would look for if someone's going to come back into the space and be like who they were in the past. Like, hey, I'm Beluga Bay. This is Beluga Bay V2. We're going even harder. I've got all these things planned out. I've got a big team behind me, but I'm also going to give back to you guys that supported me back when the times were rough. I don't know. That's kind of what I would have to look for and have to see.
Nah. Same collection, just more utility on it.
Oh,
Like,
okay. No, okay.
because
I don't. You're not saying
I
a
don't
new.
believe.
Jarek asked if he came in with a new collection, would you go back in?
No,
So
I don't want the new
that was the
collection.
question.
Oh, okay. See, I wasn't
want
listening.
but you want the old collection.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I want the old collection to be revived because look,
I like that.
It's still a token. You can easily have partnerships. You can easily have more utility. You can like there's so many things you can do nowadays that you couldn't do back in the day back then. That's easy. And also when you are a name that's been around for that long, like people would get excited. And the thing is, there's so many people that have climbed now that knew about you.
But there you go again. You said people will get excited about him kind of coming back. So it's like, kind of like, do we ever like learn our lesson, right? It kind of.
Well, I mean, if you're already a holder, wouldn't you want a few benefits out of the NFT that's been gathering dust in your wallet? It could be like the first case of someone coming back a year or more after, and then actually reinvigorating things.
Is it kind of like So it's just so man, it's so human emotion. It's so weird because like this person comes back like, hey, I'm changed now. And then you're like, come on down, baby. Let's go. Let's get the band back together again.
Yeah.
It's just so. I find it so kind of like like funny. Like, us humans are weird. But
I know.
So I actually want to talk about with projects, right, that are actually realizing that what, I can't continue on, and I'm gonna give it or I'm gonna sell it to somebody else. Like recently we've had with Fada, right? And kind of Matic Man kind of taking over kind of the mantle of that, right? And kind of is going to start doing his own little thing with that. Like Crypto Manimal, is that technically a rug, Fada?
So
if they gave up.
I don't think it's technically a rug. I would just call it failed. I mean, businesses fail out here. Businesses fail in the real world every single day. You got to, people fail out here in real life. Even I know we always say IRL, right? But even though this is real life for us, but people fail all the time, and I think that was the right way to fail. Was to hand over the keys to the kingdom and keep the things that were good of the project and hand them over to somebody else to take the mantle and run with it. And I know Madman has plans to add them into the lore of the whole universe that he's creating with the IPs that he has, right, with the Crypto Crew heroes, the Legion of Gloom, and now Fada, and they're from their own planet, and like he could incorporate them into his lore, into his project, and into his story, and provide the holders of that still some perks and utilities to come down the road, right? So I mean, like for me, I wouldn't call it a rug. I would just call it a failed endeavor. It was a failed endeavor, and they did it the right way. Like because you can fail and then not you can fail and not do anything, right, and just disappear. Now that to me is a rug. Maybe they did spend all their money. I think they were a free mint though, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember.
No, this second one was a free mint, but the first one I believe was like, it wasn't crazy amount of Matic. It was only like, it was a very cheap amount of Matic. But if you minted the first set, then the other set was airdropped to you and everything like that, though. But it was just, that also brought a lot of hype too. Because I remember coming in here, I'm like, oh, what is this FADA thing? Like, oh, this looks really cool. This looks really cool. And then they minted, and then
crickets.
Yeah, nothing for a long while.
Yeah, and I think like Radman says, they built some stuff out, like they built some things out with the funds and stuff, but we don't really know how much of that it did, how much and like it's an acquisition, right? So we would assume that there was some type of monetary given to buy the IP. We don't know obviously how much that was, and that doesn't really matter either. But I just wouldn't want to call it a rug, because they didn't just disappear. They didn't just leave the holders out to dry. The holders didn't have to turn around and become a DAO to try to save the project. They handed it over to a strong founder and a strong team over at the community with Matic Man. I think that's the right way to go about it if you do fail, right? And not everyone's going to be able to find that avenue, right? Not everyone's going to be able to find someone to acquire their IP. That might not happen. You might just fail, you know what I mean? And I guess it's hard to know if, did they take the mint funds? Did they actually spend the mint funds on trying to make the project great? Or did they just hold all the mint funds and not do anything with it? Right. And so, for me, for it to be a true rug, they would have to be like, they completely pulled the rug out, took the mint funds, didn't do anything said they were going to do, and they just disappeared completely. But I would say, with the FADA experience, that's just more of like, hey, I failed. We couldn't continue to move forward. So I want to make sure the community is taken care of. So I'm going to hand this to somebody and give the mantle to somebody that I know that can, continue to push this IP forward. So.
Yeah. And, I like the way they kind of did that. It said, hey, we've tried, but they reached out to somebody I think that could save it, right? Matic Man would be one of the people that I think that could save it. And kind of Cynthia, like, and you're kind of like, in all these definitions we throw on rug, failed businesses, and all those things, like, is FADA a rug or is it a failed business to you?
I don't know who they are.
Cynthia sometimes lives under a rock. She has a Polygon rock that she lives under.
Yeah. When it comes to certain things, I don't know what it is, but some of you guys are just too degen-y for me.
They were aliens.
You just jump on anything that's new, like, oh!
They were
and I'm over here like...
The shiny new thing.
But I've kind of made a rule for myself. I don't buy into anything that hasn't been around for at least 2 months at this point.
Interesting.
I don't interact with it too much. Like, because I've been burnt. I was talking to a guy, again, someone who was doxxed, and they're completely gone now. They went on vacation and didn't come back. Sold out their project, and that was it.
They went to Walmart and never came back.
Do I know who you're talking about, Cynthia?
You do.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
Okay. Well,
we'll talk about that on the next episode. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, that'd be definitely, and also too. So, okay, Cynthia. So in general, a project that says, you know what, hey, I give, right? I'm going to sell it off to somebody else, right? And that person basically saying, you know what, at this time, I can't handle this. I'm going to go ahead and sell it off to somebody else, right? Now, how much of that would you trust them coming back in? Because like I said, I think a lot of these people are going to come back, right? They're going to come back, right? And they say like, well, technically, I didn't rug. I just sold it off because at the time, I couldn't really, like do the whole NFT thing. But now, all of a sudden, I can, right? And it may look a little suspicious, may not, whatever the case may be. But would you go into that knowing the history of this person, would you go and mint that project? Or would you be going to stay far away from it and just be like, nah, just not for me because of that history you had? Or is that kind of history affected at all, in your opinion?
That doesn't affect me at all because I do personally. I believe that a lot of people who come into the NFT space are naive and they don't understand how much work goes into keeping a project alive, how much it takes to manage a project. Like, it's a lot. you're trying to please, what is it, 10K holders, say. It's a lot of people. And you're trying to promise them things. Obviously, we're not a security over here.
Not financial advice.
Yeah, exactly. Not financial advice, but you are kind of, when you are a bigger project, giving a lot of people. A lot of projects do this, and they might not think so, but a lot of projects give people the illusion of them gaining value over time, and they might not say it, but they do things that point towards it, and that's where I kind of take a step back. But I do think that a lot of people are just too naive. They don't understand what it's like running a business. They don't understand that this is a business, first of all. And they've never done it before. And it's easy to get burnt out and to get burnt. And if they want to come back with, better equipped for running a business, then I'm all for it. But I'll still observe at a distance until they've proven themselves.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. And Manimal, does that kind of, let's say if Fada were to come back, right? And people that ran Fada were to come back, right? And say, hey, we're back. We've learned our lesson, right? Check this out, what we got now, right? Would you be a little reserved, like being in their history that they kind of had that kind of little hiccup? Or would it just be like, no, you guys are good. I'm good with it. What you guys have here is great. I'm in. How would Manimal handle it?
Yeah, I think I take the same approach. And a lot of times I feel like maybe when people come back, they don't come back as themselves. They come back as somebody new, right? So this goes into the doxing question, right? So yeah. I never saw Fada's. I don't know if they doxed or not. I'm sure they were on video calls and stuff with Matic Man, right? But I never invested in that one per se. So I never went in and looked to see like their website. Do they have LinkedIn's? Do they have, profile pictures? What are they? Who are these people type of thing? And so, I wouldn't even know per se, like if that was like, I would have to be told like, oh, hey, that's the guy that was running Fada. You know what I mean? I'd have to be told by that, I'd have to have that information. And I feel like a lot of times when, like I said, when people do come back, they're not coming back as themselves. They're coming back as somebody else per se, using a new pseudonym or whatever it may be. So once again, like for me, doxing's not the end all be all when I'm going to invest as Manimal, but I think that it is something that I look toward more, especially on projects that I'm going to actually be an investor in, right? Not just a trader, not just a flipper. I might follow a hype train here and there to try to make a little profit, something like that if I decide I want to degen a little bit. But when it comes to actually like investing and putting a lot of my time and effort and money into something like Max and Rival Bears, like, with him, like I love the kid to death, and I'm heavily invested, and I believe in what him and the team can do. But at the same time, but that's because like I've had that interaction, I've had that stuff with Max, like I've gotten to know him and become close with him, right? And so, for that, and like I know he's done like meetups and stuff in the Dallas area with other people, that are in this space and stuff like that too. So it's like, I know that he's legit in my opinion, right? But like with somebody that I'm not heavily invested in, I don't do all that extra research, right? And if it's something that looks like I can make a quick flip on, or I can, do this or do that, then I might just degen out personally and not even really care. But if it's something that I believe in a long-term play, like if I'm putting my investor hat on and not my trading hat, then yeah, I'm going to look deep into who you are, what you're all about, what are you doing. I want to be on a call with you, that type of thing. I want to hear you. I want to see you. I want to look at your mannerisms. I want to know, like when I ask you a tough question, like do you beat around the bush or do you answer it straight up? That type of thing. So if they were to come back, I might not even know who they are, and I'd have to do that research. And if it sounded like something I wanted to be an investor for, then yeah, I'm going to dig deep and I'm going to make sure that I know. And for me, it would turn me off a little bit, just because you did fail once already, right? But I do believe that people fail, like I said, out here in real life, and they get themselves back up and then they create something successful, right? I mean, we've seen it time and time again. People fail all the time and then they finally hit and they do well, and it's because they had the will and the drive and the passion. So I mean, it's kind of hard to say that like I would just completely write somebody off for failing. Now if it was on the other end of the spectrum and it was somebody that truly rugged and we found out like, hey, this is the rugger, like like look at these contracts. Like you could see from a lot of like those smaller Matic projects that would either do like a 0.6 mint, 0.6 matic mint or something, or a 0.11 mint, and then you start looking at the wallets and it's like, hey, they just rugged a project 2 weeks ago. Like, this is the same wallet, they're trying to do it again, right? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And like we kind of don't think about it like when it comes to those smaller scale things, because we are all Westerners, we all live like the Western part of the world, right? And so we don't think of the smaller places, like even like in Africa and like in India, these poorer countries, where if they make literally $1,000, they can go buy a home.
Yeah.
Like they can go buy, they can be set, for a long time if they rug pull something where they ended up making, a couple hundred to $1,000 to a couple $1,000 in Matic, which to us, we were like, why would you rug? You had such cool art, like blah, 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 this. Well, you could have made this project good. Like you could have done so many things, like, but it's like, we don't think of it in that mindset of like, well, they probably just pulled the rug out because they just made more money than they've ever made in their entire life by scamming a bunch of Western degens,
Hey, I mean, I can't be mad at it, right? Though, but it like, I would say that, I would just be a little bit more cautious with them, just a little bit. But I would still hear them out. I would still kind of give them an ear and kind of like let them kind of like see what they have to offer, right? But speaking of LinkedIn, right, and I do want to kind of talk about this too as well. So when recently we had the news of Tekio, right, all that stuff kind of came out. Right. And then, first they stopped the mint, right? Then they kind of just, they paused it for a little bit. It was kind of a weird thing, right? And then they went all the way down to free, right? It said to prove ourselves, we're going to go free, right? So basically the question is, one, can a free mint rug be considered a rug if it actually does rug, right? Can a free mint rug? And also, what's your kind of take on the whole Tekio thing? Crypto Manimal, like, what do you kind of think about what they did? Do you kind of agree with what they kind of strategically did, or I don't know what the message is, what they're trying to like get at? I was kind of confused by it. So, what's kind of your take on it?
Yeah, I think I was a little confused as well. I saw like, okay, hey, we're gonna do an escrow service with you. Like they're gonna hold the mint funds until we hit certain roadmap. Until we hit certain points on the roadmap and we've completed things, then they're going to give us our funds. And then it's like, oh, actually, we're just going to be a free mint, and we're just going to prove ourselves this way. So what was what did you need money for? What was the the whole incubation process? Like what was the the whole thing of like, oh well, we're doing this escrow, but no, never mind, we're just gonna go free mint now. And it's just like, it just more and more and more to me, red flag after red flag after red flag. Like I heard free mint and I was like, I'm good. Personally for me, I'm good. I don't really want to be involved in it. And the question, can a free mint rug? I guess technically no, because you're not taking any money except for maybe royalties, I guess. So I guess maybe if you're getting some secondary volume and getting high volume and you're making enough in secondary royalties, but we know that royalties are not a revenue stream. Because like right now they're not. The volume's not here to make that a sustainable revenue model for an actual company or a business. And so that's tough. Like, I guess they could technically still be a rug if they just completely disappear and, we're just left with, dusty NFTs. But at the same time, if you didn't put any money into it, if you didn't buy off secondary and you did get it for free, are you really being rugged? But yeah, I would say because of secondary sales, like, so if people are buying into the project, they are investing, right? They are putting money into it. And if you just completely don't do anything and you do, what we call rug, then I guess, technically you can rug a free mint because people did invest money off the secondary for it, right?
Yeah, it just, I don't know, that whole saga was very just weird, right? And Cynthia, like, what's your take on the whole thing, or were you living under a rock too as well? I'm pretty sure you heard of it, all right? Like they kind of went pause, kind of come back, no, we're back. It was just very weird. So like, what's your kind of take on all that?
I took a distance very early. And I just watched them from the sidelines. I've just been seeing like oh no, these guys do this, and oh no, they're doing this, and oh no, now they're partnering up with Dew because they got kicked off Magic Eden. And it's just been one thing after the other. And you're just thinking like, how did no one think? Like, I don't know.
Exactly. Emotion.
But it is just like at this point, I'm wondering: is it pride? Is like what is like? Are you that desperate to launch a project to prove that you have a minted project that you give it away for free? Is this a stepping stone? Is this a move for you to keep on your like CV that you minted out a project and no one's gonna look into it? Like it just makes you wonder.
Like I said, it was just a very like weird kind of like saga. And
Yeah.
it goes with the emotion thing again. Emotion. What I was rambling on at the very beginning, it was just our damn emotions just kind of get in the way, and it was just like, everyone's like, no, like it's just like they're gonna be like, great in this, and they got all this, hype behind them, right? All this stuff, like funding with them and everything like that, and then it's just all kind of come apart. It's all just
Yeah.
kind of like come apart at the
It was
seams.
sad to watch.
It is sad to watch, right? It was very like, oh man, like what
Sorry,
the
guys.
heck is going on? And then even now, like I think they also too had an issue with their reveal process as well. I think it had to be delayed a day too. So it was just like, you know what I mean? But people were like,
Yeah, it just
no.
keeps on happening. Yeah.
But people are riding. I'll give them this. People are riding and dying for that project. They're like, yes, like, you know what I mean? Like you just fudders, you're just fudding, blah, blah, blah. And it's just the psychology of the whole
Yeah.
thing. And because with that, I was once kind of in that crowd too as well. Like, no, you guys are you're just jealous. Kind of like on like the Amari show, kind of like on those talk shows. Like, you're just jealous. You don't understand. And you get kind of like just captivated by some of these founders. You're like, God dang it, they did it to me again. And there you go, like, running home, tears in your eyes, mascara running, and you're just like, oh, they got me again. And it's just, I don't know. This whole weird kind of saga, I think it's going to kind of end now, and I don't know where they're going to kind of go from here, though. But it was just, like I said, it was just very kind of like a weird saga, like Crypto Manimal. Do you see them having success kind of in the future, and kind of your kind of opinion with all this kind of playing out?
I mean, I don't want people to fail out
Sure.
here. Like, I would love for everyone to win. That's not going to happen. Wag me is a bull trend joke. At this point, we're all going to make it. Let's do this and do that, right? But I do think that. Like for me personally, like what we've said, like we're watching from a distance. Like I'm not touching it. Like I'm not getting into it. So for me personally, like I wish them all the best of luck. Like I hope that they do create something special and awesome, and maybe in the future, if things are looking bright and looking right, maybe one day I do decide, like, hey man, like that's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Let's throw a little skin in the game and see where it goes. Let's see what they've done. Like, I see that they've completed things. I see that they've done what they said they were going to do. So maybe now I do look at it and say, well, maybe I do want to get into that. I'm going to do a little bit more digging around, right? But at the same time, like honestly, I don't know if with all of this happening and it just continuing to stack on top of each other, like you said, delayed reveal. I've heard some people might have left the team, just things like that. And so it's like, it just seems to continually like stack up against them. And the odds don't seem to be in their favor, from my outside perspective looking in.
Yeah.
But like you said, there are a lot of, people drinking the Kool-Aid, and they do seem to be very vibrant and very gung-ho about it. And communities can make and break projects, right? So I mean, if their community can rally and be strong and bring in new members and things happen, then good for them, and I wish them all the best of luck. But for me personally, I don't ever really see myself wanting to be involved in it or get into it, at this point, especially right now. Like we said, everything stacks on top of each other, one thing after another. It's like, yeah, it was just a wild saga. Like the fact that they went from, we're minting on due with an escrow, now we're free. It was just
we're gonna be like, I think they even had like some sort of like illustration on Magic Eden too as well, like kind of like I think it was like a month out maybe or something like that, and I was like, oh, okay, so like they're up there, and then they've gone from basically being loved to blocked and like that. So it was just, I said, it was just like, I don't know. It's a very awkward kind of just, I don't know. It's just really weird right now. And Cynthia, do you think that they're going to actually be able to kind of recover from this, in your own opinion, right? Of course, we all want everybody to, make it, right? But are you ready to get hurt again?
No, I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, I who doesn't love a good like underdog story? But at the same time, I feel like they've been continuously making bad moves.
Hmm.
Like, how many bad moves can you make before you're completely invalidated?
Hmm. Yeah, no,
And
it's weird.
that's just where I'm gonna leave it because
Yeah,
I don't know enough.
so when you guys, no, kind of with this, right? Speaking of ready to get hurt again, right? So when you guys had like these, these projects that you actually invested your time and everything like that and your heart and soul into, right? And then of course, eventually, right, Cynthia, like, how did you basically get yourself ready to be hurt again and recover? Because like I remember some of the rugs I had prior to this, I was ready to quit. I was like, you know what? Forget this. I hate this freaking like technology. This sucks. You know what I mean? I'm like, it was woe is me and I'm out. How did you get yourself ready to be like, you know what? Was it like, the tech that maybe that you believed in? Like what got you to be like, you know what? I'm gonna give this another swing at it, even though like this project just broke me in half. Like how did you get yourself back to that point?
Oh goodness me. See, I've always been in crypto primarily because of the
Mm,
tech. Like the tech
mm,
fascinates me. The possibilities of what NFTs can become fascinate me. So whenever there's something new, like when we had this flood of metaverse things
yes.
early last year, like so many things were happening in the metaverse. I think like 90% of them are gone now.
Yep.
but it's still exciting, and sometimes you just I I just don't feel like I've been burnt. I feel like rather than being burnt, I've just learned. I've learned to see some red flags. Obviously, I'm still gonna close my eyes at certain things. Like sometimes an NFT is just cute. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Sometimes it just speaks to me. I'm like,
Hmm.
oh my god, that is so cute. I need it in my wallet. Um, but other times, like when things when there's just too many things that are too similar popping up at the same time, I just take a step away. But getting myself back into the crypto space after a burn is just getting back to the projects that still are doing well. There are so many people that have been here for more than 2 years that are still pushing, they're still getting around, they're still creating wonderful connections, and they're making collaborations. And that's the community itself keeps me around after a rug. Because there's been projects where people have gotten rugged, but you found friends. So,
Yeah.
you just kind of see things from the bright side.
Yeah. 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 I've made some good friends out here though, but like this pain's still kind of there sometimes when I look
Oh,
at their
yeah.
faces. I'm like, oh dang it, man. I spent so much money on you, but Manimal, how do you get yourself ready to get hurt again?
Bro, I'm a masochist, bro. I love pain. So, I just buy rugs so I can feel something. No, I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kidding.
Rug me,
No,
daddy.
but yeah, like, you gotta, sometimes, you just gotta look at it like, first and foremost, never invest more than you can lose, right? Like, the
That
pain
does
is a
not
lot less. The pain is a lot less when you don't, when you can still pay your bills, you can still live a comfortable life. You're not mortgaging your house or throwing in, mortgaging, taking a refinancing on your car or like buying crypto on credit, like the things you shouldn't be doing, right? Like, I mean, I like the whole like, hey, let's buy NFTs with our credit cards. Like, I like it. I think it's cool, but at the same time, like, make sure you can pay that credit card off the next month when the bill comes, right? Like,
no
don't.
comment.
Exactly. So, but that's my thing is that you can have less pain, if you're literally thinking that everything you buy goes to zero. Like, literally have that in your head. Like, just remember, like, you're out here gambling. You're out here making decisions you're gambling on people. You're gambling on businesses. You're gambling on blockchains. Whatever you are, whatever you're buying. Whether it be a token or an NFT or whatever it may be that you're investing into. Like, if you have that mindset of, I am putting this money in here expecting not to have this money back, and it really does help your psyche and you're able to continue to move forward and try it again and try it again, and hopefully, though, as you do continually do this, you learn from your mistakes so that you're not just wasting your money and wasting your time, by pushing and promoting or whatever it is that you're doing out here in the space. You can literally just focus in on the good things that are out here still, right? Like Cynthia said, like, there are so many projects, that have established themselves, that have made it through the depths of this bear market. Like, this is one of the longest bears we've ever been in. And the ones that continue to push and build and create and evolve and move forward in the space, and continue to make connections and collaborations with all the new people that are coming in. Those are the people that I want to look into. Those are the people I want to support. Those are the projects that I want to be a part of. And I think it'll be a lot less painful for you whenever you do hold to those values and those principles of never investing more than you can lose, and thinking that when you do throw this money in, that's zero. You don't have that money anymore. Just, it shouldn't even be a thought. That's kind of like what I've always done. I've bought thousands and thousands of dollars of NFTs back in the bull run when we were all acting like 1980s Wall Street yuppies, because everything was pumping and we thought we could just throw money everywhere and we'd be fine. And like we said, 95% of those artists, those brands, are no longer in existence. But I do have some cute pictures.
Yeah, but all those things you guys are saying about being responsible, like, that's not fun. That's not fun.
Right?
That's not fun at all. Because, it's that.
Hey,
I guess
what is fun, Jarek? You know what's fun? Portal coin.
Oh God! So we're gonna go ahead and transition into that, right? So, two more topics. I know you guys are busy, but explain yourself, Manimal, that you have messed up and you slutted up my timeline with this portal coin stuff.
It has been intense.
I want you to explain to me, Cynthia, and the American people, and the people around the world, what you've done to everybody.
So we're cruising the timeline one day, and I just start seeing, $ portal, at portal this, at portal that, and I'm like, man, everyone seems to be hyping up on this portal. Let's take a look at what they're doing. Oh, okay, there's a website here, Crystal Dash. Okay, oh, they're rewarding people for engaging on X with posts. So they're using the Twitter API. I'm gonna go ahead and just accept this. I didn't even look at what I didn't even look at what they could do. I didn't even look if they could tweet. Thank goodness we have a really a great person out here in the space.
You, sir, are the right target audience.
You knew better.
Luckily, I know, right? I should know better, right? But luckily we had people in the space that were like, "Hey, I did check. They can't tweet without your permission." I was like, "Oh, sweet! I made it. I'm good." This was after I already signed up for it. And then, I started doing all the things that everyone was doing, commenting, retweeting, doing all these things. And I got thrown in X jail for 3 full days. Never been in X/Twitter jail. Yeah, I knew you'd like that. I had never been put in jail before in my entire life when it comes to X or Twitter. So that was new for me because I could literally follow one person every 10 minutes and I could do 2 reposts every 10, 20 minutes. Every time I would like something, I'd go back on the timeline and my like would disappear. It wasn't there anymore. And so that was a kind of a rough awakening for me, but I did a giveaway for some really cool Polygon projects. And that was kind of my thought process after going through all this was I did generate a lot of engagement with people that would never have engaged with me in the past. They would never be in my Polygon timeline. They would never be on my timeline. They would never have been a part or see anything that I do, right? And so I used it to my advantage. I shouted out what Trogs are doing, the good that we're doing out here, just by tagging Portal. I got eyes on project, and I got eyes on project.
You mean you were selling out the Trogs?
Do what?
Selling out the Trogs for coins.
Hey, all we want is the money to build the center, guys. What if this portal coin drop? What if this portal coin drop makes Crypto Manimal a millionaire and I just build the center and we call it Manimal's house, right? Hashtag Manimal's house.
All right,
fine, all the kids, like Ronald McDonald House, right?
For the kids.
But here's the thing, Jarek. I'll tell you the truth. After all the crap that was happening, all this negativity that was going on, this brought me back to the bull run of grinding out in Discords constantly, and meeting people and meeting new people and interacting with people that I hadn't interacted with in a long time. And I got probably more drill followers, like people that drill PFPs, than I've had ever. more and more and more drills just coming into the timeline, right? More and more people from ETH, more and more people from Solana, and they're following me. They haven't unfollowed me yet. I know we're still doing Portal Coin season farming, right, at this point, so we'll see what happens in the long run, right? But to be honest with you, it brought a little bit more life and a little bit rejuvenation, and I was having a little bit more fun again out in the space. And so, you know, that's the main reason that I continued and I pushed for it, because it was it just brought some reinvigoration, some rebirth into me, into my soul of you know, seeing all this engagement and seeing all this craziness on X, and not to mention, it made half of my friends hate me, and the other half were joining me, right? So it was like, it was fun for you and for me to have you and Van talk all this nonsense on me, because I think it made great banter, you know, in spaces and on the timeline. And you know, you've had some awesome posts, and I'll clap those cheeks for you anytime, baby.
So this is what I mean. This is what I was rambling on about at the beginning, is that the emotion, right? And you know better, man. Well, you know better, but you jumped right in. You knew it. And this is what I was trying to get at both of you at the very beginning of the show. That's so hard to kind of just describe it, but you knew better, and you're like, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna give this thing my Twitter, and you just leaped right in there.
Oh God.
But you, I just don't get it. It makes me laugh though. But I really hope this is something for you guys, because if not, I think you're gonna have to kind of block me, and then because I am gonna troll you guys to the ends of the earth, though. But no, I hope it all works out. I guess you guys had a.
But honestly, Jarek, that's what I want. Like, that's what I want. If it didn't work out, I want to be roasted throughout the entire timeline, right? And once again, DYOR, do your own research, not financial advice, all this nonsense, right? Like, do your own research. If you see Manimal posting about Portal Coin and you don't want to play in that sandbox, just mute Portal. So you don't have to see it in your timeline, right? You guys can take control of yourselves, right? We always talk about decentralization, not your keys, not your. Take control of your own selves. You know, if you don't want to see something on your timeline, you just mute those words and you'll never see it, right? So you can take ownership and control of yourself and what you view and what you see out here in the space. So, you know, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, and you know, Cynthia, like seeing all these, like, you know, grown men put on the lipstick, right, the push-up bra. And everything, you know, hike up that G-string. Like, what did you think about all this madness? Did you just were like, what is going on? What was your take on all this?
I was supporting them. I was liking their posts. I was typing in crap into their posts. I was like, look, I'm here to support my friends. If they want to do this kind of hype thing, I didn't join. I didn't join for the simple reason that I had to tie my Twitter to it. I would have probably had a hell of a lot of like tokens by this point. But I refuse to just tie my Twitter account to weird stuff that I don't know enough about.
But they have the ex-CEO of Rockstar on the advisory board, Cynthia.
Oh my God.
So,
GTA 6 will have Portal Coin integration. Guys, I'm just kidding. Don't hold me to that. I'm just teasing. But no. Geez. But see, Cynthia did. Cynthia got in that chat and she said, guys, you're going a little too far with this. Like, people are having fun. Let them have some fun, right? So,
yeah. I mean, that's what we're here for. I like my DJ friends to have fun. Why not? Go for it. Go get some coins.
Don't you support this mutt? But I also want to kind of say too as well, like kind of like the last topic we'll go over too, and then I'll kind of go roll into what's going to be next, one of the next week's topics, right? You know, we're talking about this bear market, right? And all these things have kind of gone on, right? We've had like a whole year of drama, especially it feels like, right? And Crypto Manimal, like, what has this bear market kind of taught you, right? What are some of the lessons you have learned from this bear market?
Yeah, so I'd say like taking like my first the bull run is kind of when I got involved back in like 2019 or like late 2019 into 2020. You know, I rode everything up. I you know, had a decent sized portfolio. I was doing some trading and different things, and you know, the bear market taught me to take profits in the bull run 100% of the time, and don't just take profits to reinvest. Actually take profits to hold, and to not just go after the next coin and the next one, the next coin, right? Like, you can do that too, but at the same time, like, you should be securing a portion of those profits, because it's cyclical. Everything is cyclical. Everything goes in cycles, and so, you know, that's that's like one of the main things for me is to remember to take profits this next time around to secure some of the bag for the future. But also the bear market itself, being involved in the bear longer than the bull, right? Because this has been an overextended bear market. It's been a long time. And I feel like it's taught me how to network and to collaborate, and how to do that, like to be able to get on calls with founders, like something I never thought I would be doing, for the trogs, to create partnerships, or literally just to get on the call with a founder to just talk shop. Like, hey, what are you seeing? What are you liking over here in this area? Like, what are your views? What are you taking? And then building out a network, right? People always say your net worth is your network, and it's not it's not what you know, but who you know, right? And so I think that's what this has taught me mainly in the bear, is to really develop and cultivate relationships with individuals out here in the space.
How about you, Cynthia? What are some of the lessons you've learned in this bear market?
Oh man, I guess just have fun, go with it. Like,
No.
Jarek.
I was like,
No, but like really, people, like, we are in a bear market. Like, if you cannot have fun now and let loose a little bit, when everyone else around you is like being all doom and gloom, like, oh no, like, we're gonna sell anything, ooh, this and that, and misery, and to top it off, the news are shit as well. So, like, you have to just embrace where you are. Like, crypto is still so new. Like, we had this vulnerability with a contract that I've been on, and I, instead of getting salty about it, I'm like, well, we're still early. People are still learning. Even companies that you trust wholeheartedly and that you see as the forefront people of, like, leading this technology, like, they're still getting things wrong. So why not just allow yourself to not take yourself too seriously? Like, just go with it. Manimal.
You're great for this show. I love your attitude with it. I love that you have like a different take though. But before we all kind of go, you kind of maybe go more in depth on that contract, whatever happened with that. I'm really bad at explaining stuff like that, but you kind of break it down for the people out here watching. Like, what exactly happened?
So, Third Web is a platform where you can get easy contracts. You own everything. It's not a storefront contract. It's tied to your wallet. You own everything. You can put everything on whatever marketplace you want. And they unfortunately recently discovered that there was a vulnerability in their contract. They didn't say what the vulnerability was, because that would be just, evil, because people could take advantage of people with that contract. But what they did over the last few weeks was to set up a way for everyone to migrate their contract. It's a pain, not for us, because they did all the work for us as creators, but it's a pain in the fact that all your stats are reset and that. But and these are the things, a company like Third Web, they have bounties. They challenge people to come and find vulnerabilities in their contracts, and this is something that I think is so important with marketplaces and people who do contracts. If they are not constantly doing the security thing, then there's something wrong. Like, I would not trust a company to deal with my assets. And I think that this is going to be something big in the next bull run, is people will not want to buy NFTs that aren't on their own contract, because you cannot put them on other marketplaces if they're only on a storefront. So this is something I've been preaching about for a while, because in early 2022, OpenSea made a big boo-boo where they decided to change the whole structure of contracts, and a lot of creators were left basically to die. But yeah, just be careful with what you do out there, but also just keep in mind that we are early and things like this are going to keep on happening.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, I'm waiting. We got to close the door on this year, because this year has just been a weird kind of, like, so many different things we've had that kind of in the space. But we're all here together, right? We're on the show. We will definitely be back next week. And Manimal, before you go, man, do you have anything going on this week, or do you have anything that you want to tell people about?
Yeah, so coming up December, we're in December, but coming up later on this month, we're going to be teaming up with the Banshees, Base Buddha, S Rob, the Banshees team for their Black Market. So the Black Market is their raffle platform that they built out and delivered prior to even minting the Banshees. And Base is really big on doing the philanthropy style donationary stuff with the Black Market. He wants to choose something to donate to like every quarter. And so the first quarter they chose a place that was near and dear to him in Pittsburgh, just down the street from him, a youth program there. And they ended up raising over 4,000 Matic, plus they got a donation from Sam Deep himself, who ended up giving them about 2,000 Matic because they asked Base, like, what's the pie in the sky number you think you can raise in a week? And he said, I think 2,000 Matic is what we can hit. And they ended up going over that. They ended up hitting 4,000 Matic, but Sandeep still donated that 2,000 Matic to them as well. So they raised 6,000 Matic, and at that time, I believe Matic was somewhere around $1. But they were able to donate that to that youth center in Pittsburgh. And so they decided that for the Christmas season that they wanted to team up with Troglodyte Society. And we have our endowment fund. Yes. We have our endowment fund with Angel Giving. It's an on-chain endowment that people can donate to. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a bunch of grails into the black market. We're accepting donations from founders, from collectors, whales, whoever has NFTs that they would like to donate to the black market, and they're not taking any of the money. They're going to do 100% of the funds raised will be donated to our endowment fund, and then we'll turn around and use that the new year. Probably hold a live event. It all depends on the amount we raise. Matic Man has his pie in the sky number, which is 25k Matic. So if we could hit that mark, we could actually probably break ground even on the center itself.
Wow.
Yeah. So it really kind of depends on what we do raise to what we will use the funds for. If we get, somewhere around the area, close to what they raised the last time, we're going to use those funds to hold a live event in Sierra Leone for the children for the holidays. Probably do some presents and some other things like that, but have a live event that like we've done in the past. But if we can get those higher numbers, then we'll actually look at using it to start building the center itself. So really looking forward to this Christmas. Be on the lookout, guys. I just got the donation link today. So the addresses that can be donated to, and they're looking for people to do some quadratic funding with it too. So if you're a whale in the space, you got a lot of money and you want to, give it and donate it and give to less fortunate people, then you can match what they raise, or you can just do a flat donation to Angel Giving through our link. It's actually in the Troglodyte Society website. It's the Road to 500K, and that has our endowment link in there as well, so you can flat donate to that. But yeah, if you want to, I would just highlight, if you want to donate though, I would suggest just doing it through the black market, because you can win some really cool grails and some really cool NFTs that will be being donated, like I said, from just community members in the greater Polygon, as well as founders from projects as well. So we'll be putting up a lot of grails for people to try to win for a good cause. And so really looking forward to that coming up probably in about 2 weeks or so, when we'll start doing the donation process, and then we'll start putting up these things on the black market for you guys to go try to win. So looking forward to it. Hopefully we raise a solid amount of money, during this holiday season. It's the time for giving, right? So I'm looking forward to it.
That's great. And hey, I'll have your stuff pinned down at the bottom, or just send it to me through DM, and I'll pin some extra stuff too as well. Cynthia, what do you have kind of going on? Do you have anything going on, or any spaces you want to say, or anything like that before you take off?
Oh goodness me, no! I'm moving next week, so that's my week. Unfortunately, okay. Yeah, sure. That's all my schedule until the new year.
No worries. We'll be back soon, right? Kind of the topics I want to kind of go over kind of next week too is derivative projects. We're gonna kind of dive into some of those. And
my favorite
derivative products. So we're going to dive into those, guys. This is going to wrap our show. If you like content like this, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow each and every single one of us on X. Hopefully, Ahmed will be back. Maybe not next week because we're going to have some people out, but the following week. And we will see you guys around in the next one. Take care.
Later.